So that was our trip around the world going east. This time we're going west. And the goal actually was on our retirement was not traveling international. It was having a fun time with your best friend.
So this is Dan at Vagabond Awake, and today or yesterday we were walking down the beach and someone said, "Hey, are you two YouTubers?" And it was Tim and Pam, and we're happy and delighted to interview them today. So I'm going to switch to the other side and we'll get going. Welcome, you two. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chum.
So Tim, Pam, where are we sitting right now, and where are you two from in the world?
Okay. We are at El Nino, which is in the Philippines, south of Manila, and we're here for 2 weeks. Okay, and we're about in the middle of our 2 weeks, and we're from Alabama, and which is almost southern. You could probably tell that from our dialect.
So when did you leave the United States and start slow traveling the world? How long has it been?
We left. I retired in April the 1st, 23. Okay, and 21 days later, April the 21st, we left. However, it was a 5-year plan to get to that point. We just didn't just drop off. So we started thinking about our retirement, well, way before 5 years, but started planning it 5 years beforehand. And we knew we wanted to travel. So we divided our retirement into 3 sections. International travel, that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Originally, we said we was going to do it for 2 years. And then we was going to do domestic travel and do other type travels on the water. However, about 1.5 years in, we said, wait a minute, we like this. So we extended. So we're pretty much starting our 3rd year of international travel now.
Wow, that's great.
So we've been to about 60 countries now. 60
countries in 3 years. With all this travel, and you explained you do go home for the holidays and all that. So what's like a typical monthly budget, and how much does it vary depending on what part of the world you're in when you're slow traveling?
Well, we started off with a budget hoping that we can do it for $4,500 a month. Okay. And yes, we were able to do it.
And that's the Europe stuff, right?
That's overall, the overall budget.
Okay.
Average.
Yeah.
And that's $150 a day. Okay.
Okay.
And I actually have it broke down to, we try to eat in that $150 a day for $35 a day, and our average accommodation is $50 a day.
Okay.
However, that's average.
Yeah.
So you have to balance the expensive Europe, China, and Japan, the expensive with the Southeast Asia. For instance, next week we're in Cebu. We'll be there for $35 a night.
Right.
In a resort.
Yeah.
And then we go to Sri Lanka for $35 a night.
Right.
So it has to balance out with a $75 to $100 a night in other locations.
Of course.
Overall, my average accommodation, hopefully it's $50 a night accommodation. Total expenses $150 a day. It's starting to have a hard time to make that. So we're going to bump that up to $5,000 a month starting in June.
Okay.
$5,000 a month. And that'll bump up our daily average from 150 up north a little bit.
What would be your top 5 places if you had to go back and you had to spend at least maybe 6 months to a year in those places? What would be the top 5 you pick from what you've seen so far?
I would go back to Thailand.
Okay.
I would go back to Turkey.
Kamala Beach. So where would you say in Thailand?
I don't know. I liked them all in Thailand. Yeah, I don't think I'd go to Bangkok and stay for that long because it was just too congested. I would go to Turkey because it was very reasonable priced.
Yeah.
We stayed along the coast a lot in Turkey. I liked that.
Yeah.
I would come back to Hill.
Yeah. Philippines?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. We haven't seen enough of it to say exactly what spot we would go back to, but the weather's great. The view is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're on the water. If money wasn't an option, I would probably go back to either England or Ireland because we went to both those, and Scotland. We liked all 3 of those.
Right.
It's just too expensive.
Yeah, it's
to,
expensive.
I mean, we might as well stay in the States for that cost, you know?
Right.
Oh, we really liked KL.
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur.
But we
It
only
was-
stayed in the city.
Right,
We didn't go out. We didn't go out,
That's true.
but it was a wonderful place. We really enjoyed it.
So did you stay near the city, the towers?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
we stayed right there at the tower.
We stayed
Yeah.
right there. We could see the towers
Nice.
out our windows.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah.
And we liked Albania on the coast part of Albania. It was
Okay.
really nice.
Yeah.
They're working hard to, make it so much better and
All
so
along
much
the
nice.
coast there of the Adriatic Sea, the eastern coast,
Yeah.
split.
Oh yeah,
all the
I
way
forgot
down to-
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way down to Greece.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah,
Just
we just took a
nice.
bus from one.
Yeah.
As we made up our mind as we went. Okay, what's the next big coastal town?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like
And-
the coastal town.
And and buses are a nice way to keep the expenses down.
Oh,
They're
yes.
usually 10,
Yes.
20 bucks. per
Oh
person.
yeah,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of them.
Instead
We
of a
went
flight.
on one that was like an overnight bus.
Yeah.
And that was different. We didn't sleep, but it was still. But it was fun. It was one of those things you got to check the list.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
we've
course.
done that.
So was there a moment when let's do international travel?
We started watching YouTube.
Yes,
That was
we
what-
started watching some people on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, when we were still working and we were still making our plans, and the goal actually was on our retirement was not traveling international. It was having a fun time with your best friend, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. So with my best friend, we sold the sailboat, and we said, let's just do international travel for a little while, and then we do domestic travel.
Okay.
So that's when we said international travel, and we started watching some YouTubers and learned how to do it. And that's how we learned, was
Yep.
purely watching YouTube.
Yeah.
So what are some of the pros and cons of slow travel, the way you're doing this? What are your thoughts about it?
Let me make sure we're on the same page on slow travel.
Okay, sure.
We do stay 30 days in some locations.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When it's financially there.
Right.
But then those are through Europe. That's through Japan. We stay 4 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, 3 nights, because we like to travel on Mondays and Thursdays. I don't know if you classify that as slow travel. The most we stay somewhere accidentally was 6 weeks in Turkey, but typically 30 days in one location.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So I would say that qualifies as slow travel because you're adjusting how long you stay in a place based on what it costs to be there. So
Yes.
you can balance it with the other places.
Right.
So you're not cutting off part of the world. The whole world's your oyster.
Right.
You're just arranging it so you stay in places that are a little
Okay.
more reasonable, and
Yeah.
and so to me I call that slow travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So you're slow travelers.
All right.
Your slow travelers. One of the big things about slow travel is that you go here, then you go here, then you go here. If you remember when you had a job, you'd go here, you come home, wait 11 months,
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and then you go here, come back,
Right.
wait 11 months. You're going here. You're traveling around the world. You're only going back for holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We learned this from YouTube travelers.
Yeah.
This is not vacation. When we had children,
Yeah.
and we would go to say Disney World or something for a week.
Yeah.
Every day you'd get up at 8 o'clock, you'd pack your stuff, and you'd go. You'd come back at 6 o'clock at night, exhausted. The next day, you same thing.
Yeah.
Agenda.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
We don't do that. This is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
There's days that we get up and we look at each other and we say, let's read a book today.
Yeah.
And we may be in paradise like this,
Yeah.
but we're here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not get up and go.
Yeah.
It's get up,
Yeah.
and we have our routine. We do have a routine. We travel. We walk 5 miles a day.
Yeah.
Okay, we typically eat breakfast in our location, in our accommodation.
Right.
A bagel or a yogurt and something like that, and then we'll eat out during the day. So
Right.
we have our routine, but it's a difference in when you're on vacation. I don't call it a vacation. I call it a lifestyle change.
It's not your vacation, it's your new life. Some days you get up in the morning and you want to read a book. Some days you want to go on a tour. Some days you want to, watch TV all day.
Yeah,
Who knows
yeah.
what you're going to do?
Yeah. We're retired. We can choose what we want to choose.
Exactly.
If we want to stay up all night, Sleep all day, you know, whatever.
Are we going to see our family? How are we going to stay in touch with our family? You've already talked about how you go back for the holidays. Do you have other ways you stay in touch with them?
We do a WhatsApp video.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week.
Okay.
Usually it's on Sundays, but it's not always on Sunday. It's called Where We Are.
Yeah. Okay.
And we talk to our grandchildren at least once a week.
Oh.
Because it's important.
Right,
we have
sure.
3 grandboys. Of course, they're wonderful. They're perfect. They're, you know.
Yeah.
But, so we have to talk to them every week.
When we go home for 2 months, we stay with my son and my daughter and grandchildren live 20 minutes away, and Pam's siblings live 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of family time during that time.
You walk how long per?
5 miles a day.
Is that every day?
Every day. Every day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Wow. That's great.
We have to, because, you know, we want to be able to
we'd be
keep
even
doing
larger
this.
than I am now. Okay.
Well, we want to keep doing this too, and to be able to do this. Like yesterday, we went out on the boat and we had to climb into the boat. Well, if you're not in shape, it was tough climbing into the boat, you know. So, you know, to be able to do things we want to do, the hikes that we want to do, the walks.
Yeah.
We have to walk 5 days a mile just to stay in shape.
Retirement is pretty much divided into 3 sections. Go.
Yeah.
That's where I turned 64 in February. So I'm 64 now.
Yeah.
So we consider ourselves go because when we were in China, we took a 5K hike up a 30-degree entirely up to the wall. It was extremely hard.
And then we had to climb over the wall.
We did the 500-mile walk,
crazy.
Camino walk.
Yeah.
So we consider ourselves in the go.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that we won't do.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Then the next section is your slow go.
Okay.
For everyone, it's at a different stage.
Yeah.
We don't know. We could be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
Yeah.
And then in the future, it's the no-go. Okay, it's the no-go. So we consider, and we learned this through YouTubers, that we don't know when that next phase is going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, most of the time it will happen gradually.
Yeah.
So we want to do everything we can to stay in the go-go.
Yeah. In your no-go, do you think you'll pick a place in the world, or you can go back to the States?
We'll go back to the States.
Okay, great.
Yeah. When we stop traveling, and I'll go back to where my children and my siblings and all that are.
Yeah.
Is your slow go? Is that going to be? You talked about having an RV driving around the states, national parks. Is that what's your slow go going to be?
Of course, we don't define that. Our bodies define our slow go.
Okay.
However,
if you like my free ebook about how I fired my boss and traveled the world for 17 years and how I pay for things, come to Vagabond Buddha and grab the free ebook.
Okay.
However, we feel like this will probably be our last year of full-time international travel.
Okay.
So when we go back this November and December, we feel like we will be purchasing a RV.
Okay.
And you just don't purchase an RV and leave. You purchase an RV and you live in it for a little while, you test it out, and then we will start traveling domestically. However, international is not over for us. We feel like that we will, we love the repositioning cruises. So we feel like maybe in an April time period, we'll take a repositioning cruise to Europe, stay over there for 2 weeks to a month, and come back. And then get in an RV and go some more. Or we could go to the other side to Alaska, and take a repositioning cruise from Alaska down to Australia, stay there for a couple of weeks, and then come back.
Yeah.
But staying gone 10 months at one time, we feel like this is probably our last leg of that.
Okay.
We want to go home. The age of our grandchildren, they're getting older. Our oldest will be, when we go home this time, he'll be 15, he'll be 16 right after that. So we want to spend those last few years that he's at home close to him.
Right.
And then our middle one is only 2 years behind that, and then we have a 4-year-old grandson.
Okay.
All of ours are grandboys.
Yeah.
We have no granddaughters, unless somebody wants to give us one.
Is the world a dangerous place?
No.
We have met so many friendly people all over the world. Here we are, we would stop somewhere on a corner trying to look at our Google Maps. People will stop on a scooter next to us and say, "Can I help?"
Yeah, and they would get off and say, "Where are you looking?
Yes.
You know, where do you
so
need to
many
go?"
helpful people all over the world.
Everywhere we've been.
They feel sorry for us, I
think
guess.
so. But we've not been anywhere that I felt unsafe. You know, I felt like, oh, you know, we got to hold on to my pulse or something.
Yeah.
You know, I've never done that.
Yeah.
You know, there's some places, you know, that you're a little more, you know, conscious of your stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But nowhere that I felt like anybody was trying to, you know, take our stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And the fellow travelers that we have met along the way, wonderful people that travel similar to what we do, just wonderful people, you know, great. God knew what he was doing when he made this world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Great people all over the place.
Yeah, they are. We've had people help us everywhere we've been.
And so, what countries have you been to in those 3 years?
My goodness.
Yeah.
Let's see. We started in Spain, I think. It was our first cruise went to Spain. And we did the
Camino.
El Camino walk.
Okay.
I don't know.
The 500 mile from St. John, France to Santiago.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
It was good. I'm glad we did it, but I would never do it again. It was much more challenging than we originally thought.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We started, like Pam said, we started in Europe. We typically take a cruise from Miami to somewhere in Europe to get us there. Because the way we do it, the inside cabin and no drink package, is actually cheaper than flying.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
When you compare the cost, I had to stay somewhere for 2 weeks. I had to buy food for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we do repositioning cruise. And so we went to Gibraltar, across the sea.
Let's see, where are
Morocco?
Morocco, yes.
we went to
We-
Morocco, Gibraltar, of course, Spain, France, England, you know, your European main countries, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. So then we had to do the Schengen shuffle,
Right.
go to England for a little while, come back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we came back in October, you know, after Europe, and we spent the November, December with our children and grandchildren.
Right.
And then we left again.
Yeah.
This time we went south.
Yeah, we started in South
We took a cruise from Miami down to Colombia through the Panama Canal.
Wow.
And then down south around South America, stopping along.
Yeah.
That was a 31-day cruise, getting off in Buenos Aires, around the Horn.
Right. Oh, wow.
Oh, that
Around the
was
Horn.
great.
Wow.
It's a wonderful cruise if you're looking for one.
Yeah.
It's cold down there at the bottom, I've heard.
Yes, it was.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was surprising to go from so warm, you know, in South America you think warm,
Right.
but it was actually cold on the tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got off in Buenos Aires, and we spent.
Buenos Aires, Argentina?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Wow.
we did. Yes.
Amazing. Okay.
So we spent a month there, and then had out. You know, we went over to Uruguay.
Uruguay,
Yes.
Paraguay.
Yeah.
And then went to the falls.
値Falls, yeah.
Yes. And then from there we went up to the mountains of Mendoza.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, yes, the wine country up
Yeah,
there. And we
sure,
spent
yeah.
2 weeks there. And then we had a family emergency, had to go back home, but
Right.
that's okay. And then we got another cruise.
Went to Croatia, Albania.
Before that, we
Montenegro.
got off in Rome.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
spent
I forgot about that.
6 weeks in Rome, not in Rome, in Italy, using trains and buses to get around. Rome, Florence, Milan, and Venice.
Wow.
And then we rented a car for a week
Okay.
in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Because that was on my bucket list.
That's
Yeah.
wine and olive
Wine.
oil and cheese country. There.
Yeah. And
You
then
see movies on that, so
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
on my bucket list.
Of course.
And then we went around the Adriatic Sea to what Pam was talking about, Croatia, and we went to Split and
Sure.
We went to Albania,
Albania and
Montenegro.
Montego, several countries along there. Ending up in Greece
Yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute. Ending up in Greece. I forgot about Turkey.
Oh yeah. Oh, we
Turkey
love
too.
Turkey.
Oh.
Turkey was great.
Caves are and the hot air balloons.
Okay.
Cappadocia.
Cappadocia, yes.
Yeah.
We rented a car there. We was only going to be in Turkey 4 weeks, and we had a plan. So we spent an additional 2 weeks in Turkey,
Right.
and then we came home. Then
That was when we came home for Christmas that year.
so then we take another cruise from Miami back to Europe again. Okay, and we do Europe, but then when we leave Europe, we start going to Asia the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, we flew into Bangkok.
Okay.
Spent a month in Thailand, northern Thailand. Bangkok. Then we went to the River Kai. We had a bamboo hut hanging over the river, and then
You could see through the cracks, you know. But it was fun. I mean, it was different.
and that was cool. And then we went and spent a week in Chiang Mai,
Sure. Yeah.
and then a week in
Shanghai.
Chiang Rai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
after that, we flew over to Vietnam, Hanoi. We started with the north and went south.
Yeah.
Da Nang.
Yeah. We went over to Cambodia for just a little bit and came back.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, we went to KL. Was that
Kuala
K-
Lumpur. Yeah.
Yes.
KL. That
we
was a
loved
wonderful
it.
time.
Yeah.
We stayed downtown in the city, and then Singapore,
Okay.
and then we got a cruise ship from Singapore back to California.
Yeah.
That was 28 days there.
Yeah.
Wow.
From California, we flew home to Alabama. So that was our trip around the world going east. This time, we're going west.
So you went back for Christmas of 2024,
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
and
Yeah.
now you're back out on the road again.
And we're back out on the road,
And this time you're going
westward.
west.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
started in Hawaii, and then we went to Fiji, and then Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Australia was also on my bucket list,
Yeah.
just because I wanted to see kangaroos and koalas.
Yeah. So in Australia, we spent 4 days in Sydney. We rented a caravan for 12 days, and we didn't have a plan. We just went. We went out to the Blue Mountains. We just drove around the outback a little bit, and went down to Melbourne and came back to Sydney. Then we got on another ship and went around
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes. That was 2 weeks around New Zealand. And it dropped us back off in Sydney. Then we rented a car and went north to the Gold Coast. Spent some time, a week that way. Came back to Sydney, got on another cruise ship and went to Japan.
We went to Japan. We stayed there like 12 days.
While still on the ship, we went to Hong Kong.
Right.
We went to Taiwan
That was on the
and
ship.
four ports in Japan. Then when we got off the ship, we spent 9 days in Japan and ended up in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then we flew over to Seoul, South Korea, and spent a week there. Then we flew up to Beijing.
Okay.
And did the 144-hour visa, which is easy and extremely easy.
Yeah.
Did the Great Wall, Forbidden City, Tiananmen Square, the Palace, all the big sightseeing stuff there.
Yeah.
And then from there, we flew to here.
Well, you two, it's really been a joy hearing your story. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing it, with the people out there in the YouTube world. So, thank you so much. We really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
We enjoyed it.
Hope to see you somewhere else in the world.
Well, maybe so, walking down a beach somewhere.
You never know.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You can go watch my over 140 videos of people who retired overseas all over the world, right over here.